Good day, everyone, and welcome to this Coffee and Cloud series event, 3 initial use cases for AI, artificial intelligence. I'm Alan Falcon, CEO of Cumulus Global, and I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day and week to be joining us here live for our online event or watching this video on demand from our resource center. Before we get into the topic here today, just want to welcome everyone and remind you that the audio is muted to prevent any background noise from getting in the way. So along the upper edge or right-hand side of your screen, there's an icon that'll open a questions window. That's the best way to ask a question at any point in time during the session. As with all of our webcasts, we do record them and we generally get them posted within 24 hours. We'll send you a link to the on-demand version. Feel free to share that with those who you think might find the content valuable. A reminder that this event, like our other Coffee and Cloud series events in our 3 series, are just some of the resources we have on our resource center. We actually added a new ebook today, providing a primer for generating prompts using Gemini AI for Google Workspace. But those guidelines will work for ChatGPT and other generative AI services as well. So head over to the library within our resource center and check that out. Diving right in to keep this moving along and keep me on time. Before we get into the heart of the session here and talk about the 3 use cases, a little bit of background. So both Google Gemini AI and Microsoft Copilot are generative AI systems. These effectively are learning language models or LLMs that can analyze existing content within your environment or on the web in general and use that to generate new content. It's always important to know that LLMs can hallucinate, meaning they can create content that is false or misleading. So whenever you use an AI tool to generate content, it's important that you edit it, read it, take a look, and there are even some tools that'll help you fact check that content as well. I want to also point out that in Microsoft's ecosystem, given their partnership with OpenAI, that Copilot uses OpenAI technology. And when we talk about using Copilot, we're talking about the specific integrated version that's part of Microsoft 365. There's also a Copilot that integrates with Microsoft's security tools and Security Center, as well as Copilot services within the Azure environment. OpenAI also produces ChatGPT. That is a free service. They stopped training it using data, I think is sometime early 2023. But ChatGPT also offers a paid-for service that remains current and lets you add content to it. Google offers Gemini AI. There's a free version that you can just go to. Ideally, you'll have a gmail.com account to use that free version. There are also paid versions at several tiered layers available to the public as well. When we talk about Gemini AI, we're talking about the specific integrated version in Google Workspace, also known as Gemini for Google Workspace. It's important to know that in our view, whenever you use an AI tool, it should be a paid version that guarantees the privacy and the security of the information that you're placing in it. So use case number 1 is the meeting assistant. Great capabilities here. These meeting assistants will automate meeting transcripts and even identify speakers online and in person. They can generate intelligent summaries of what's happened in the meeting as far as topics discussed. It'll also identify action items, ideally with assignments to specific individuals. They can also identify resolved issues and make assignment suggestions. So you can ask it using Microsoft Copilot in that environment. You could say, are there any additional action items you can identify from the content of the meeting? And it will scour and look to see if there's action items that may have been talked about or that it might suggest based on AI-generated knowledge, based on the content of the meeting. And so this allows you to save time, one, in preparing minutes because you've got an accurate transcription. It can improve collaboration and enhance decision-making. One of the best uses of the ability to summarize meetings is for people who can't attend the meeting or weren't invited but need to know what happened in it, or even miss part of the meeting as a way of pulling it together. And certainly being able to pull action items and assignments is there. Now, what's interesting is if you run Microsoft 365 and you have a Meet hardware set up in your conference room, particularly if you have the 360-degree camera. When you open a meeting, that camera scans everyone in the room and uses the information within Microsoft 365 to identify them. So Microsoft Copilot for 365, even for the people in person in the meeting, can identify who said what and attribute action items and results to those as well, to those individuals as well. Now, obviously, if everyone's dialed in and they've logged into the meeting using their identity, your identity is known. So it's a really cool thing that, yep, you can have people sitting in a physical conference room and the system will be smart enough to know who's who and attribute action items, resolutions, other assignments to those individuals. The second use case for AI that we see as a good initial use case is improving your email collaboration and communication. And here you're talking about, being able to open an email and asking the generative AI to do smart email drafts based on prompts, what you're trying to say, the tone you want, the length, the complexity. You can also use it to generate suggestions for alternative phrasing, tone, and complexity. So you might, for example, be upset with a vendor, type your email, and then ask the AI tool to tone it down. Give it a slightly more congealed tone or conciliatory tone or not so angry tone. You can also, based on your audience, say, hey, can you simplify this messaging? It'll shorten sentences. It'll put in different words and phrases that make it, make it easier for the audience to read and relate. Coming soon or coming in the future in Gemini AI, it's there today with Copilot from Microsoft 365, is the ability to summarize email threads. And so this can be identifying action items that remain open, any resolved issues, generate assignment suggestions. We're also getting to the point where you can generate sentiment analysis and get a sense whether someone, particularly if you're looking at customer service email threads, get a sense of, is this person comfortable with the communication so far, or is this person getting frustrated? You can get a sense of that sentiment as well. And that's a more advanced feature that's a little more mature on the Copilot side, and we're looking to see more of that going forward in the future. And again, here, these really benefit you from a standpoint of helping you draft emails more quickly, can help you improve your editing of emails, particularly if you're sending it out to diverse groups, to customers, to vendors, etc., and help you develop clear, more professional communications. And can even help different people within your organization adhere to the same style of communication, the same style of messaging that you want as a company, as part of your company and your branding. Use case number 3 is you can use AI to draft common documents. Now, both Microsoft Copilot and Gemini for Google Workspace are great at generating templates for standard documents, meeting agendas, reports, proposals, cancellation notices, customer service requests, all of these types of documents. Just as you can use it to draft emails, you can get those into documents as well. We always recommend that you fact check what's there and address sourcing suggestions. So AI can suggest sources for additional content or materials for your documents as well. And you can really tailor the content generation from prompts. And there's a whole science now that's evolving, and a whole method and multiple methods evolving on how to generate great prompts for AI to get what you want. And we'll be talking about that in future events as well. As I mentioned at the intro, in our library, we now have Google produced an introductory guide to prompting for Gemini AI, particularly Gemini for Google Workspace. That's now available in our library. You can head over to the website, go to the Resource Center, click the library, and it's right up top. Click it, fill out the form, you'll get your copy. Now, the benefits to having common documents drafted is the time savings. Obviously, you're streamlining document creation, you're improving your editing, and if you use the sourcing suggestions and the fact-checking components of the tools, you can enhance the accuracy and the reliability of it. Now, at the onset, I talked about really encouraging to use Copilot for Microsoft 365 or Gemini for Google Workspace if you have 365 or Google Workspace as your productivity suite. The reason we want you to use those paid versions is, first off, they're secure, meaning your data is not used to train the models. It's very important because if you have confidentiality or non-disclosure agreements with your vendors or customers, and you use any of their information in an insecure AI tool, you have violated your contractual terms. And we are aware that organizations are out there looking at that seriously, to make sure that it's not going on, to hold people accountable to it. More importantly, if you're using the versions of Copilot or Gemini that integrate with 365 and Workspace, you have access to your data within those ecosystems. Microsoft Copilot's a bit more mature on that at this point, but you can leverage documents. So you can, for example, create a new document based on an existing document, or say, hey, create this new draft project plan using the general, using the layout of these other project plans, to learn from you and what you want within your business, not just what's generally available to the AI engine from the web in and of itself. Additionally, when you use those paid versions, the user security rights are respected, which means if you're in Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace and someone's using Copilot or Gemini to generate something, it's not going to pull information from documents or sources within Workspace or 365 that user does not have access to. And that's also a nice benefit for using those paid integrated versions. So we look at, Copilot for Microsoft 365. It's a great starting point. It's highly integrated. Microsoft for a while now has had artificial intelligence engines built into aspects of the product. So if you're running Microsoft Business Premium or any of the enterprise SKUs, for example, you can turn on Security Rights Administration, which uses AI to identify confidential information or other information that should be protected, and will automatically, based on guidance you provide, set restrictions on how that data might be accessed or used. So for example, you can say that highly confidential information can be shared but can't be downloaded or printed. Microsoft will look at documents and look at email messages, and if it appears to be highly confidential, will alert you and apply those permission restrictions to those documents automatically. The addition of Copilot creates the generative component within the 365 environment. It taps into that security component as well, and you have the ability to look back on what already exists to do things like action items, summarization, and sentiment analysis. We expect Gemini AI is going to end up with 4 tiers of products and services at different per user per month costs. At the lowest level will be 2 parallel products. One is AI for meetings and messaging. This is specifically around tools for monitoring and managing the meeting assistant functions that we talked about earlier, as well as AI within Google Chat and other messaging tools, and AI security, which will bring some of what we talked about in the Microsoft 360 environment into the Google environment, where you'll be able to use artificial intelligence to help manage your permissions and your security security settings and actions. Gemini Business for Google Workspace and Gemini Enterprise are where you get into the very robust, holistic components with the generative AI function, integration directly into your productivity suite apps, for editing documents, spreadsheets, slides, etc. Gemini Business has usage limits, where Gemini Enterprise is unlimited and has some additional capabilities as well. So as these come out to the market, we'll update you with pricing and how they're tiered and how they're mapped. But food for thought, a lot's coming more, a lot's out there on the Microsoft side, a lot more is coming on the Google side. So as always, we like to wrap up and remind you with what are your next steps. So first and foremost, really think about how you want or need to use AI. And the reality is, chances are you're already using AI and members of your team are using it. And the challenge there is they're probably using free tools that are insecure, that they're picking, as opposed to having a holistic environment. And so we say, take a step back and say, if you want to use AI and you want your team to do it in a way that's managed and secure. Decide which suite, Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace is for you, and which AI plan within those environments is best. And in all honesty, we have customers who've been on Google Workspace for a long time. They still use the desktop Microsoft apps they're looking at the AI comparison and they're saying, you know what, Microsoft 365 is a bit ahead and a bit more integrated. We're going to head in that direction. Great, we'll help you do that. Others are looking at it and saying, you know, with the AI capabilities coming in with Gemini to Google Workspace, we're going to double down and we're actually going to phase out these the Microsoft tools. That's another approach. We can help you, we can discuss with you what you're trying to achieve, how you want to work, how you want to improve your processes, how you want to leverage AI, and help you make those decisions in a way that you end up with not just great AI tools and support, but the right productivity suite integration and environment. And so that third step is execute and contact us for information assistance. We're here to help. And speaking of contacting us, you'll see there's a bit.ly URL. The best way to contact us is to schedule an intro call with one of our cloud advisors or shoot us a mail at info@cumulusglobal.com. Feel free to contact me directly. I will warn you, however, that I'm horrible at answering the phone and responding to voicemail, so that email address is the best way to go. I don't have an assistant, so you'll hear from me. If I'm really busy, I may ask a member of my team to get back to you as well. So with that in mind, we've sort of covered all the content today. I'll open it up for any questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to open that questions window at the top. For those watching live, I'm going to take a second here to part and stop the recording for the on-demand version. I'll be right back to address your questions. Thank you.